thank Mother Janaki Mataji for the class on Prabhupada's famous poem. Now, so we'll start with the panel discussion. We have Her Grace Janaki Mataji, Her Grace Sita Sevi Mataji, and Her Grace Shaktirupa Mataji with us. So you have all written your questions. We will try to raise all the questions and have Matajis to answer it. If we have more time, you can further ask further questions. Okay. So the first question. We are always taught to act on the platform of mercy and compassion. However, a difficult situation arises when abominable actions, especially those that harm others, are committed by individuals in high-standing positions or those who have served in the community for a long time. Often such individuals are shielded of even the benefit of mercy, while the victim is left feeling shame, ignored, or even blamed. In such cases, mercy seems to be selectively applied, and the balance between justice and compassion becomes blurred. This raises an important question. Where do we draw the line between applying mercy and upholding societal morality? How do we ensure that our approach to such situations does not compromise Dharma nor cause further harm to the innocent, all while still trying to honor the principle of mercy? Shall I repeat the question again?
I wish that it would be nice if Jagatarini was here, because she's a very mature devotee, and I'm sure she would have had a good stance on this.
It's very tight.
I know, but I think she would have answered that really well, because she's very mature. She's worked with a lot of senior devotees. They do these retreats at the foot of Govardhan Hill. So obviously when they get together like that, they discuss deeply all these sort of things. It's a difficult question, that. Do you want to answer?
Oh, I'll repeat again, Mataji.
How are we going to, before you move on, are we going to put this in the middle?
Everyone has a mic.
Oh, okay.
Can we do it? Yeah.
Yeah, we do that. Is the question there? It's there, is it? I think what I heard you were saying, and was like so many abominable things have gone on in the name of devotional service by senior devotees who have acted in a way that it's incomprehensible. We can't accept it. And how do we cope with that? How do we deal with that? How do we manage that? How do we handle that? How do we keep our faith strong? It's a tough one. When I first came to Malaysia, and we were living in Malaysia, myself and my husband, and we were simply trying to follow the orders. We'd had 4 years in the manor, we'd learned devotional service there, we'd come here, and then we were just trying to do whatever we'd learned, we tried to put it into practice here. So in some ways, we were kind of shielded from the 80s. Now the 80s were a time of a great turmoil for ISKCON at that time. Because Srila Prabhupada had always been the ultimate authority. I might have been going a bit off track now, but I think it's also relevant. Srila Prabhupada had been the ultimate authority, and if we had any difficulties or differences or stuff we couldn't understand, we'd just go to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada would give the final answer, and we'd follow that. But then after Prabhupada left, then we didn't have any elders, and I've said this a few times on the trip, we didn't have older people to look towards. It was just us young bunch of inexperienced people. Most of us were, below 30, really, which is very young too. And then people had taken sannyas, people had taken, sannyas, the renounced order of life, and then got older, they become into their 40s. I don't know about, in England we have this expression, midlife crisis. Do you understand what that is? You understand the meaning of that? You understand that? Midlife. So a lot of people, when they, you know, when we're young, we get married and then we go through work and then we get to like 40 or 50. It's different for different people. And you sort of look back on your life and you think, well, it's going downhill from now on. Have I missed out on something? Is there something that, you know, I wish I'd have done then. I took my vows when I was, for instance, I took my vows when I was really young. You know, maybe it was a bit rash, taking such strong vows at that young age. So people go through this midlife crisis where they look back on their life and reevaluate, and then often make changes, and sometimes divorces happen, affairs happen, all sorts of things happen in the material world, you know. And devotees, if we're not strong, you know, these sort of things also can afflict us if we're not careful. And even someone who's in a high position, they're still going to, and we're all going to get tested by Maya. We all get tested at different times by Maya. So if we're not very careful, we're not very diligent, you know, Maya will get in and find a little bit of weakness and grab us and take us away. So, you know, obviously this has happened. Of course, there is that verse in the Bhagavad Gita as well, where Krishna says, you know, even one who commits the most abominable activities should be considered saintly because they're rightly situated. So that's there as well, that ultimately, even if we have fall down, even if we make mistake, then Krishna sees beyond all that. As long as we, you know, rectify it and realize that we've made mistake. But I think part of that question also, you were saying, how come it doesn't seem to be always recognized?
It's more like
by the society?
How can they show compassion? What about the victims?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so they're showing compassion, but what about the victims? Yes, the victims must be taken care of, they must be counselled, they must be listened to, not ignored. And we have made that mistake in the past of not taking care of our own, taking care of our communities. So all these fall downs and all these difficulties that we go through as a society, I would say they're lessons for us all to learn. They're lessons for our seniors to learn, not to make the same mistakes again. Okay. Anybody else want to add something? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. I just want to add one thing, that what we do and what we don't do becomes the culture of the society. So, when things are going wrong, if they are not being rectified, even if maybe leader or sannyasi, if they are not rectified, then as Mataji said, it will become part of our culture, which is a very toxic culture. And an organization will not flourish like that. And when I spoke about mercy, compassion, and all those qualities, it definitely doesn't include abuse. We're just talking normal situation. But when it is abuse, yes, we talk about it, and we don't tolerate it. So we have to, as a society, if we want to have a healthy society, things have to be reported when they have to be reported. In this kind of situation, we will remember Narad Muni and his snake disciple. Narad Muni had a snake disciple. And he said, please don't bite anybody because you are my disciple now. And when he comes back after 6 months, the snake is bruised and bleeding. He said, what happened to you? He said, don't bite anybody. People were coming and throwing stones on you. Narad Muni said, I said, don't bite, but you can hiss. You could have hiss and protect yourself. So even when we are dealing with no matter what, we always protect ourselves, our body, and in the right way. And even somebody who is senior, nobody is beyond Maya, because Krishna's Maya is very powerful. And as a person goes high and high, Maya removes more weapons for him. So for a small devotee like us, Maya may remove simply sword. But then as we go higher, Maya will take out knife, then she'll take out bomb, and then, you go higher, she may take out nuclear bomb. With all kinds of things. So there are two ways of looking at it. When somebody falls down, we have mercy on them mentally. You would not go and say, it's okay, you fall down, it was silly, you should do. Because I want to show that compassion. No, we keep a safe distance, but we don't hate the person. Because we understand that he was trying to fight from the front row, and Maya attacked, So, and whenever somebody does something which we are not convinced, we can always remember Maharaj Rahaguna in Jarat Bharat's conversation, where he says that everybody talks like a drunkard, when a drunkard talks, do you take them seriously? When somebody is sick, they talk, you don't take them seriously. Similarly, people in this world are krasta. They have been hosted by sattva, rajas and tamas, and according to what goes up in the mood, they act or talk or walk according to that mood. Okay? So we have mercy in that way at them. When somebody is, behaving wrongly, it's not that mercy means to say, that's okay, like Mahatma Gandhi, you bet me here, you can also take my this cheek. No, we don't say that. But internally we have a lot of mercy. And we can pray for them. Oh Krishna, please protect him or her. Because he's, as of now, he's under the control of the modes of material nature. So in our prayers, we can include them. But in no way it means to accept the abuse and allow the person to continue. So that's what mercy and compassion matters.
So Hare Krishna. So actually, I very well understood this question because I am really in the crux of the problem. So I just like to go backwards in time, from the time I joined ISKCON. When I joined ISKCON in 1980, in 1982, a drastic episode happened. A very drastic episode happened. Okay, so very few people will know. I think Mataji is actually she knows about it, and we don't talk about it so much. Okay, we are just into the movement. We have all taken the movement very seriously. We were not initiated as yet. Okay, and we were actually going into, we were very happy in Krishna consciousness, let me put it that way. And then this thing comes as a thunderbolt to us. A letter from the GBC, okay, regarding some person. And it is unbelievable accusations. How a person who had dedicated their life in Krishna consciousness could do such things. But this is a very bona fide letter, it's from the GBC, We also know the person, we associate with the person, we respect the person, we have served the person, So, and when this happened, we were very shattered. Okay, but we had very good support from the GBC himself. One of the GBCs came down. Sannyasis came down because they knew the gravity of the situation, and we had faith. Imagine, we have never seen these people before. Whoever came to solve the problem, we have never seen these people before. They came down to solve the problem, but we had faith in them. We had faith in them. We said, yes, now they are coming to solve the problem. Let us see what they are doing. Let us see how they are going to solve the problem. And we just observed the actions they took. And because of the faith which we had in the people, we were okay. We retained our Krishna consciousness. We retained our Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, many people left at that time. Many people left. Only a few of us somehow stayed back, and somehow, by the mercy of those who came and helped us, and because of the faith we had in them, we survived. We survived. We forgot that incident. We forgave the person. In fact, when they came to us and they were explaining and telling us about, how things go on, just like what Mataji said. All this was told to us also. And I remember one of the sannyasis told us, "Oh, this happens even in the celestial world. Vishwamitra also fell because of V.A.N.I.T.A. When such rishis and munis, because senses are very difficult to control, unless you have surrendered to Rishikesha. Only then we can unless you're fully surrendered. And now in this age, it is very difficult. It's not an easy thing. So when a person falls, all that both of them said carries in a society. At the same time, there should also have to take into account the history of the person and the contributions of the person and the repentance of the person. All this also has to be considered, counted. Depending on all this, the man and we have to have faith in the management, in our GDC, in our EXCO members, in our CC members, in our immediate superiors. The Temple Management Council, we have to have some faith in them. Then that we have had, I'm just talking about one drastic incident, but in this 45 years, I've gone through many incidents. many incidents, So because of that faith which we had, we always, if we know of something has happened, we immediately report to the person. In fact, once even my Guru Maharaj chastised me because I didn't directly report to him. I just reported to the temple president. I said, why didn't you tell me, that this thing happened? But I told him, he's dealing with it very nicely. I have faith that he's dealing with the problem very nicely. My immediate temple president is doing a very good job. So I thought, I don't want to disturb you, Guru Maharaj. So when you came now, he himself has told you about it. So like this, we have encountered numerous problems. But the basic thing, even in the recent class, His Holiness Bhakti-Pradhan Bhagavad Maharaj said, this compassion is necessary. Just because somebody falls, like I told you, we have to see all these things. Their contribution, their repentance in thing. Of course, if they want to just leave us and go, then of course, it's a different thing. Somebody wants to stay with you. You have to somehow counsel them, counsel the affected party, and help both remain in Krishna consciousness. This should be the attitude of the management or anybody dealing with this or anybody actually seeing this. If you know of something, this thing is important. Shall we go on to the next question, or anybody has more doubts on this? I'd like to just clarify.
About this question, do we have any further question about this? Yes, Maharaj.
Having faith is benevolence, yet how to prevent history from repeating? What are the corrective measures of prevention to rebuild faith and trust?
So for this, actually, in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness has various ministries which are dealing with all these things. So depending on what has happened, you have to refer to that respective ministry and they will take care. Of course, it takes time because it's not just that ISKCON is dealing with one particular case from Malaysia. This is an international society. So So there are many complaints from many parts of the world, and it will take time for them to respond back to us. So that doesn't mean ISKCON is not doing anything or they are keeping quiet. Sometimes what happens is, when they revert back to us, we are not satisfied. You can always appeal. You can always appeal. There is a level of hierarchy where you can go from one person to another. In ISKCON that it is said. So we just follow that.
Okay, so we thank Matajis for the answer. Hope it answers everyone's question. Let's proceed to the next question. What's the best way for Matajis to progress in spiritual life, especially with current challenges and multitasking that we are going through with limited time?
Okay. What is the best way for Matajis to progress in spiritual life, especially with current challenges and multitasking that we are going through with limited time? So the first thing is this multitasking. You know, everybody does, especially ladies. We are into multitasking. So initially, when I came into ISKCON, I was really multitasking like it was nobody's business. Okay, Guru Maharaj actually asked us to take advice and sent a couple. Okay, Prabhupada's disciples. They came to Malaysia. So they stayed in each one of our houses. Okay, we didn't know that Guru Maharaj sent to actually watch over us. We thought this couple is just coming, so let us, you know. Now they said, we want to stay in your house, we want to stay in this house 3 days, there 4 days. So they went around because later on I realized I also did that. I used to visit houses and I will just very pleasantly visit, make a pleasant visit, and I will check a little bit how their Krishna consciousness is going on in the house. You know, when you enter a house, you will know. So those were the days. That's how we were trained, okay, to do. So this couple, when they came, you know, they saw me multitasking. So I was, and they told me, you have to be very careful. You know, don't take on anything which is beyond your capacity. You should know your capacity and take on services which you can do very nicely. Okay, this was the advice given to us by them. Don't take on anything because the service suffers and you suffer. Just like our chanting. When you are chanting, when there is a class going on, you are neither respecting the speaker, nor the subject which was spoken, nor you are respecting your chanting. So the same way, when you are taking up too many services just because you want more mercy, or you want Krishna to see you, so then sometimes everything suffers. You suffer, service suffers, temple suffers. As a matter of, because the service is not done properly. So this is very important that we know how we are handling multitasking. This is regarding services. I know the question could be at home. It could be at home. You know, at home also, in a Krishna conscious home, we are multitasking. You have to do the arati, you have to prepare the offering, and then do the offering, and you have to send the children to school. Pack food for them, because you know, Krishna conscious children, we cannot just send them to school. We have to cook, we have to pack, we have to send, and then when they come back, there should be some food. You are going to work, and things like that, you know. So this, of course, you need, if you need help, you have to take help, and it should be, you should put some thought to it and organize yourself, simplify your, for instance, I always say, do not bring in deities until you're confident you can handle them nicely. You have the time, energy and the means. Many people want to just have deities, I want to have deities, I want to have deities. But having deities takes it all on us. So we have to be very careful on this. And also, when you bring in the deities, you promise them what you can give them. What is within your capacity. Don't be over enthusiastic and say, I'm going to give you 6 times offering, just like how they are doing in Sri Jagannath Mandir, Kuala Lumpur. Okay, I will do Arati, followed by that. And all these promises should not be. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, you have to know what you can do, what time you have. Doesn't matter. You can tell the deity, I will only offer you once. It's in the afternoon. I'll give you a good meal, or in the morning. Evening, I will just offer milk and fruits. And you do this correctly. Whatever you promise, you do correctly. So be very careful when you decide on what you want to do at home. Okay. So once you organize yourself like that nicely, things work out. So morning arati you must prepare at night and keep everything ready. Then just come down, you just have to do the arati straight away. So all that you should plan yourself. Planning is very important. I always tell even my cooking team, when you come to cook a meal for Jagannath, please plan. We are giving you a roster, we are telling you when to come, and when you come, please come prepared. Please meditate on what you want to do. The previous day or 1 week before. After all, we are giving you only once a month, we are giving you a chance. Not even once a month, I think. Once in 6 months now. So, so meditate, get all your things, procure all your things, whatever you need to do. You can't come there and rummage the deity kitchen and, take out this and don't put back, and Malatarni Mataji gets upset with me, So, all this should not happen. So, you come nicely prepared with whatever vegetables you want to cook, with whatever ingredients you want, some special ingredient, which you will actually keep hidden, in the cupboard, and you can't find it. So instead of going, beating around the bush in the kitchen, you bring that own ingredient, like cashew nuts, raisins, and whatever you want, almonds and all that. We don't keep it for you for common use in the daily kitchen. So you must come prepared with all that. We are giving you only once. So this is very important, this planning, this meditation and executing properly. And once something is difficult, simplify it. Simplify your job. Don't make elaborate meals. Make a few tasty meals suitable for the family. That kind of, you have to simplify your task and carry it out.
Hare Krishna.
As Mataji was saying, I just want to add a few things to that. She emphasized on planning. So there is a saying in English, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So, you have to plan your life. But there's one addition that I want to make to this as Mataji's. One should take care of one's own health. That's very important. Because if Prabhus are not well, we'll take care of them. If we are not well, nobody will take care of us. I'm sorry, maybe I'm just talking about my life. Because I've done so much multitasking and I'm not even as old as they are. They're so active. But I'm feeling the heat of it. Now I see my health and all, And I was just remembering that Bhakti Vinod Thakur says 888. 8 hours for your body, 8 hours for your soul, 8 hours for your family. If one doesn't follow that, definitely they will fail. So as Mataji said, sometimes we get over enthusiastic in service, And I mean, so many years I was speaking about it, but now I feel I am experiencing it, and how when health goes down, at that moment you suddenly understand, why did I abuse my body this way? I should have done a better job. I remember a couple of years ago, and then one other thing you should have in your life is a mentor who will also stop you from overdoing things. Because yes, as I was telling in yesterday's class, that over-enthusiasm is also rajasic. You have to do service in the mode of sattva. Srila Prabhupada told Dhananjay Prabhu in London, he said first health, then sadhana, and then seva. That should be the format. But our format is usually first seva, then chanting at night 10:30, and then health. The last, and then it's all going wrong. I remember many years ago, I was in GDC college in Pune. So we were all supposed to be trained as zonal secretaries or something. Now, Pune, lots of devotees, they follow my classes and all. They are super enthusiastic, so they organize many programs. So my routine became like, get up at 3 o'clock, take bath, get ready, go for Mangala, and chant few rounds before that. And then after Mangalarati, finish the rest of the rounds and attend Darshanarati. Then in Pune, they don't have Bhagavatam class after Darshanarati. They have Prasadam. After Prasadam, they have Bhagavatam class. So then immediately after Darshanarati, go run to Prasadam hall, and already I will be giving appointment to some Mataji for some counseling during breakfast. So that when I talk, I can hear them, what is their problem and all, and then through line give a solution. Then immediately run to Bhagavatam class, and by 9:15, in the middle of the Bhagavatam class only, it will be time for us to go now. Final question answer, we cannot attend. Then run to my room, take the books for the GBC college course, then come down to the hall, attend the course, that goes on up to 1 o'clock. By 1 o'clock already some Matajis are waiting outside because I've given them appointment for lunch. Then I give the books, I go to the lunch place, have prasadam, again listen to another set of Matajis, some problem, something, sort it out and all, and then go back to my room by maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock, put the book, and then again call to the temple because I take care of many departments in the temple management. So call the chorpi, call the school, call what's happening, and they have so many things already, so many missed calls are there. By the time I finish up, use the restroom, it's time to go to the second session of the GBC college. Then I go for the second session, then by 7:15, and sometimes they are given a task to be done, group task. So stay back up to 8 or something like that, or something by 7:15, and then immediately rush to my room, keep the books, wash the face, put tilak, and the car is ready because I have to go to the house program. So then go, sit in the car, rush and go to the house program, maybe somewhere 45 minutes, 1 hour drive, I don't know. And I'll be so tired, on the way, and the devotees who are in the car to pick me up, they've already decided that since they get my 45 minutes time, they'll ask me some questions. So I will be counseling them, talking to them, and then finally reach the place. Now all these spoke, and when I enter the hall, I see the hall is jam-packed, all our devotees are waiting. Then they tell me, Mataji, you want to take dinner or you want to address the devotees? Then I have that guilt conscious, they've been waiting for me 1.5 hours. What dinner now? First I talk to them. Then I give a class, after that question answer, and then there's some devotee somewhere will ask, can I take one more question? And you don't know how to say no. It's okay, Mataji, go ahead. It goes on up to 10 o'clock. Then I immediately get out, quickly have some dinner, then again drive back. And by the time I enter the room, the guest house, it's all silent, nobody's there, 11:30, 12, and then I just go, quickly hit the bed, and again get up at here. I did that continuously, I did it for 14 days. The food, I was completely collapsing. Then I became so sleep deprived that during Mangalarati and Tulsi Arati, when they do that Vrindaye, Tulsi Devaye, I was like, why do they do only 3 times, Some more time, then I want to keep my eyes closed. It became so bad that you take the Arati and you do like this, you want to keep on taking Arati because you can keep your eyelid closed. And then my husband told me, Nitai said to me, what are you doing? Now it's my question, what are you trying to do? I said, I'm just giving myself to the devotees, I'm just giving myself. No, what are you doing is wrong. You stop right now. It will take a toll on you. So I've been doing this for many years now, like crazy. Now I'm like, oh my God, now my health and everything is, so this is something, all the while I never spoke about health in any of my classes because I don't want to speak something which I'm myself not following. But now, yes, I think I want to take care of my health, and I also want to tell the Matasis out there, it's very nice that we want to serve Guru and Krishna, but somewhere, if we abuse our bodies, it will answer you back, very sooner or later it will do that. So if you want to continue our seva longer, we have to do it in such a balanced way that we can do it for a longer time than to do it in a shorter time and for, that's one thing, one realization I think I got in my life is to take care, pause and take care of your health. So, multitasking, yes, we do as Matajis, we can do 100 things at a time. That's how Krishna has made us. But we should follow Prabhupada's instruction to Dhananjay. First health, then sadhana, then sleep. Thank you so much.
Well, beautiful what you just said, and it's very true. We do have a tendency as women to do more than really we can. But so I just say, keep it simple. I'm only echoing what they've said. Keep it simple. Look after your health. Don't put yourself last. Yeah, we do as women. It's in our nature really. We want to serve everybody, and we have a lot of responsibility. So you do your duty. You've got to do it, but you have to sort of balance it properly. And that's a good point. Look after your health. I do now. I don't do when it's the temple authorities won't like me saying this, but I don't do as much service as I used to. Obviously, my body's older. I've stepped back and let the younger devotees do it. So the older devotees, try and make sure the young ones are trained up. They've got more energy, they've got more strength. And look after your health. A sattvic diet. Don't eat too heavy. Don't eat too fried foods too much. Anyway, that's a different point now. But exercise, I go to an exercise class a couple of times a week because my body needs it now. Otherwise, I couldn't keep going. Whatever. I didn't used to. I used to feel guilty doing all these things. So we have a tendency to do that, ladies. I think feel a bit guilty. So temple authorities want to learn to say no sometimes and not feel guilty, but in a real way. So take on what you can manage and don't bite off more than you can chew. Keep it simple, okay? And encourage the young ones to come forward and do services, yeah? Hare Krishna.
One more thing I feel is that we shouldn't try for perfection. That drives us crazy, is my realization. But we want to do everything perfectly. I think that's also a kind of attachment, in a different way. I have to do it this way, I have to do it that way. So I have now, a little bit, what do you say in English, a step back about trying to be perfect, on time, everything has to be this way, everything has to be that way. And then sometimes if I can't do that way, I die of guilt, inside. And now I'm trying to, come up about it. Even simple little things like, I wouldn't want to be late for my marathon. I wouldn't want to be late, no matter what happens. So sometimes, even if there's something like, I can have to just go to the kitchen and drink water, but if it's already 4:27, I forget about it. But that's not good. It's okay sometimes to be late. It's okay sometimes to say no. So now, these things I'm able to, I have to be on time. I think that's also kind of an ego. I never be late. I always do this like that. I always do. Somewhere we'll have to give it up.
All right, that was a very nice session about that. Especially when I think all of us can really learn to say no. Prioritize yourself. Even when you go to the aeroplane also, if you're a mother, they first tell you to take care of yourself before you take care of your baby. Correct? Because if you're not safe, how you want to save your baby? So make sure you understand and prioritize yourself first. All right, the next question. We have very limited time, so I'm going to combine the question because I see that two questions are in it, like similar to it. It's about chastity. So qualities of a stree is shyness, pure, and must be protected. So how to maintain these qualities during preaching? Also, like similar question of it, how to be a chaste woman in the current era where there's co-education, have to work with male colleagues and etc. So it's about chastity.
How to be changed in the manifestation.
Meetings, yeah.
So actually chastity means to remain faithful. So to remain faithful depends on your own faith, on your spouse or anything. See, in ISKCON especially, the word chastity has got a broader meaning. We have to be chaste to the movement. We have to be chaste to Srila Prabhupada. We have to be chaste to our Guru. And I think here, because I see that the question was linked with Sri Dharma, I think the person who asked the question is asking about chastity to the husband. So the chastity to the husband, with whomever you are mixing with, doesn't mean that your chastity will get affected. Okay? The chastity gets affected when you are not right. Chastity gets affected when you are not right. If you are unchaste, don't blame it on the men around you. We have to blame it on ourselves. Okay? So this is important. So it doesn't matter, because now we are all in that position. We are all a working women, most of us. I myself have worked for almost 40 years, and I have to come across many people, like patients, my colleagues, everybody, male body people. But our chastity doesn't get affected. Doesn't get affected. Chastity is your faith in your husband, faith in yourself, to be loyal to your husband. So this is chastity. So it doesn't get affected by externals. It gets affected by your own internal integrity. Mataji, will have
Hare Krishna. Okay, chastity is not only physical, it's also emotional. It's also your spiritual integrity, as Mataji said. Practical way is that though in this modern era we can't avoid having interactions, but we can at least have healthy boundaries and not become too confident. I'm just reminded of Parasim Muni. When V.A.N.I.T.A was writing that one thing, that one should not be in a secluded place even with one's own mother and daughter. And Parasim Muni told his son V.A.N.I.T.A, this is a little too much, you can remove that. Mother and daughter, staying in one place, that's all right. So he says, okay father, I'll remove it. But then what happens, that night it's raining very heavily and Parasim Muni is alone in the hut. And one lady knocks the door, it's raining outside, can you give me shelter? And Parasim Muni gives her shelter, said, okay madam, you sleep here and I'll sleep outside. But then, while he's sleeping outside, he's just thinking about her, how beautiful she was. Her hair, her eyes, and he gets completely agitated. He starts knocking the door and tell her, allow me inside. He says, why in the middle of the night? I'm not going to allow you inside. So he knocks more harder. She doesn't open the door. Finally, he gets upset. He climbs on the top of the hut, and from the ceiling he falls down, And then he goes and hugs her, embraces her very tightly. And the moment he embraces her tightly, the girl changes into Vyasadeva. This is my father, it's me. He says, father, it's me. I just wanted to tell you, how powerful Krishna's Maya is, So then Parasim said, I think you can keep that light. You don't have to remove it. So it's like that, like Mataji was just talking about Vishwamitra, like how amazing he was, that he still fell down with Prema. So we should never take Krishna's Maya casually. And we should never think that we are very strong just because we are chanting and all. We always need to protect ourselves. If we become casual, we become casualty. So we have to be very careful. Always have healthy boundaries. I think in the olden times, at least not very old, at least 28 years back, I remember that the system was, when you interact with a male or Prabhu or somebody should be there instead of interacting alone. But now in the name of preaching, I've seen many boundaries are transgressed. I don't know how healthy that is. I'm not in support of it. Somewhere, no matter how modern we get and how busy we get into preaching and how ambitious dreams that we have in Prabhupada's service, if certain rules we still keep it as they were in the past, it will help us a lot by not having unnecessary conversations, keeping a healthy distance, and chastity not physically but even mentally. And one day, if somebody keeps their mind occupied so much with Krishna, there will not be a place anymore for anything else. But if, like they say, idle mind is a devil's workshop. If we don't keep ourselves busy with seva and sadhana, definitely the moment you give a little space to Maya, she will take the whole space. I remember when I was, very young lady with a small baby. Now you see my baby, 24-year-old boy. There's a small baby. I was traveling with him in the train from Vizag to Bhubaneswar. I was alone. And it was a reserved compartment. And somebody came and said, there's a little place like this, and said, can you move? I'll sit. I said, fine, I'm as devotees, we have compassion. Anyway, there is space, why not? And I moved. And then somebody else came and I moved. And I moved. At the end of it, I was standing. Everybody was sitting. And my husband said, how can you be so, naive? How did you do that? I said, I didn't realize, They all just asked me to move. And that's what Maya does. There's a little space, and then she takes a whole space, And you don't even realize when did that happen. So yeah, one should be very careful when interacting with the opposite sex and not taking it very casually and carelessly, and shouldn't be overconfident.
Yeah, just like the same thing, but don't be over familiar. Don't you get to be kind of professional. When we have to work and we have our work colleagues, so you don't. Some people you like, some people you don't like, but even those we don't like, we deal with them in a very professional way. So, just to keep the relation, keep that little bit of distance, polite, friendly, but not over familiar. So, because once you get into that over familiarity, then dangers can come. So we have to watch out for that. So like professional, deal with them in a professional. And if somebody's being a bit over familiar with us, over friendly, then it's best to just, go a bit quiet. Don't get over friendly back, because it's dangerous. You can get yourself into a dangerous situation. You might not, but they might think that you're, more available than what you are. Put it like that way. Yeah. Okay. And also, dressing as well. When we first joined the movement, it was very much, the head was always covered, and we wouldn't talk to the brahmacharis, in the temple or anything like that. So we were very much encouraged to keep distance, healthy distance, So not over familiar even with the devotees in the temple, or, we have sangha groups or meetings or programs here, there, and everywhere. So, just maintain that sort of a little bit of a polite, friendly distance, and make the close connections more with the other ladies. It's a lot safer for you and for them. And when you go out preaching as well, yes, you're distributing books, and then you have to interact with people face on face. But, don't go to a quiet, dangerous, park or some place where you're on your own with the person. Keep in the public. Yeah. Have other people around so that you're protected. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. So now we'll move to the next question. How can one see the Paramatma in their spouse and try to continue Bhakti Seva if they are trying to halt our spiritual progress?
How do we see Paramatma in our husband? I was in Sydney last year, and I was telling the Matajis that one should serve their husband, So I was just telling them that, when the sannyasis come, the Matajis are over-enthusiastic, they'll make 56 items. But for husband, poor husband has to eat only cereal, cornflakes, So the husband is always waiting, when will some sannyasi come and have some dosa? So I was telling them that is it fair? Only sannyasis are Vaishnav, your husband is not Vaishnav or what, You should serve him also, I believe me, after the class, personally every Prabhu came and said, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Why can't you come more frequently to Australia? We need you here. So, I don't know why we have some kind of a weird this that, if somebody's a sannyasi and I cook for him, I'll be benefited more instead of cooking for my husband. But it is a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is a Vaishnava. There is no good Vaishnava, bad Vaishnava, this Vaishnava, that Vaishnava. Vaishnava is a Vaishnava. And as a wife, you have a duty to serve your husband. And if you are unable to see Paramatma in your husband, you may think you are able to see Paramatma in others, but it's actually not working out unless you see, in your own house. It's very easy outwardly to behave nicely with people, be very sweet and cordial, use magic words like please, sorry, thank you, but unless you do it at your house, it's all very pretentious and artificial. Because in the time of storm, it will not come out now. Unless you practice in the time of peace, what you regularly practice, that is what Krishna talks about abhyasa. You regularly practice at your house also with your spouse, how to remain sweet and humble and cordial, then you can extend it to others. It's not outside in, it is inside out. What you do inside will come out, But if we can pretend, be very nice, but sometimes somebody goes on our wrong way and so many things will come out, and we also would never know, am I like this? The way I spoke with that person, the way I responded, because you're not practicing enough, right? But if you're doing it, you have to start it at your house, how a Vaishnava etiquette should be. When we read a Vaishnava etiquette manual, we always think about temple Vaishnava etiquettes. But actually it should start from home. How we deal with our mother-in-law, how we deal with our father-in-law, how do we deal with our husband's relatives, how we deal with him, with children. That's that, and then it goes out, So that's very important. And I wanted to speak more on this, but I want to hear that also.
I think was part of the question if they're blocking your spiritual life. Well, then we have to practice these qualities, as Krishna gives us in Bhagavad Gita, a whole list of good qualities: humility, tolerance, forgiveness. So even if our spouse is making it difficult for us to come to the temple or to practice devotional service, it's best not to fight against it, I would say. Because if you do, then it's going to escalate and then they're going to put the foot down even harder. But rather, the best thing is to win them around with love and, and humility with all these good qualities. Sometimes we have to, maybe for a while, not do all the things that we want to do. But if we keep serving with love and respecting our husband, okay, he might be acting in a way that's, you say, well, how can I see the Paramatma in him? He's being hostile, he's being this, or not letting me do what I want to do. But if you can remain the qualities of Wolverine, patient, tolerant, I don't mean be a doormat, that's different, but if you can have some acceptance and try and develop good qualities in yourself, I think in the long term, then you will win him round. And if, you cook nicely and you offer the food, keep giving him prasadam. I've heard stories of ladies that, were devotees, her husband wanted to eat meat, and she didn't try and force him not to. She cooked for him, and she cooked for herself, and then also give him the vegetarian prasadam as well. Eventually, over time, there's one particular family I'm thinking of, he eventually became fully vegetarian, he eventually started chanting Hare Krishna, and he eventually left his body with his hand in his bead bag. So just give it time, be tolerant as best you can. We're not talking about extreme situations, that's different, but I think develop good qualities in yourself rather than finding fault with them is a good place to start.
Big end, huh? Go to the next question.
Sri Sri Radha Krishna Kanaya ki Jai. Sri Sri Jagannath Bale Subhadra ki Jai. Sri Sri Nitai Gaurangarai ki Jai. It's actually donations from our Chinese devotees. They brought it over. Yeah, so this special lamps. Alright, we'll continue with our one. You can also enjoy the darshan as well. So this is actually a question from one of the youths actually. Hare Krishna, my question is, Srila Prabhupada often emphasized that devotees should marry to, it's okay to let them enjoy their youth and come to Krishna consciousness later. So what is the responsibility of devotee parents in such cases? Is it right to delay their spiritual training like this?
Well, of course, if we are serious devotees, we will want to train our children in Krishna consciousness and we'll try our best. But at the end of the day, you can't force anybody to become Krishna conscious, and you can only guide them with love and try and teach them. So that's one side of it. But if the question was, if the parent, we're looking at another family and seeing that the parents are saying, oh, it's all right, we won't force them to do. But that's the choice of the parent. We can't tell somebody else how to parent their children. We can advise them and we can say what we believe to them. But you can't, everyone is working according to them. We're all at different levels of advancement and at different levels of awareness and different levels of consciousness. We can't tell somebody else how to live their life unless they inquire from me, as inquire from, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, inquire submissively and then render service. So they have to want to do it. If those parents don't want to do it, it's not your real place to point the finger and say that you should or you ought to. We can only encourage them by, trying to encourage the children to get that higher taste. So best if we're the parents, we try our best to bring the children to the temple, give them a good time, give them a balance in life, have a few outings with them, take them to nice places, but make the experience at the temple a happy one as well, not a forced one. Because otherwise the children, when they get to a certain age, when they can make the choice, they might make the other choice. So we want to give them that higher taste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, as Mataji rightly said, that we can't force somebody into Krishna consciousness. I always keep telling in my classes that you can't punish your child because he's not a reincarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. I mean, some parents just go overboard, he has to recite verses, and every time some Mataji comes in, Kanna, can you please sing Nashingalti, come on, please sing Nashingalti, please tell Mataji this sloka, and the child gets frustrated, he doesn't even want to do it anymore. He starts hating Nashingalti because every time somebody walks in, he has to do it all over again. And I tell Mataji, why can't you simply make a video of it and post it to whoever you want to post it instead of making the child do and sound it like a punishment. So yeah, it's an art. Just like we are so careful in the art of preaching. How should we deal with new devotees? How should we deal with youth? How should we deal with Mataji? Similarly, parenting is also an art. And one needs to train oneself and take counseling from other senior grihastas who have successfully trained their children and do it in the right way. Because if you don't do it in the right way, for the rest of your life, you will, your children won't want to take into Krishna consciousness. So one has to be careful. And of course, as values are not taught, they are caught. So when we are Krishna conscious, most of the time, the children pick it up, So yeah, this is a big subject matter in its own, but the main question was that do we, if some are not forcing their children, and not seriously telling them, is it okay? So as Mataji rightly said, everybody has a different parenting style, and we can't judge them or say, no, this is not the parenting style. Depending on time, place, circumstance, situation, and swabhava of the child, every parent must be dealing in a different way. Maybe some parents just deal by giving them more freedom and asking them to voluntarily, do you want to come to the temple? If you don't want to come to the temple today, it's fine. That's the way. Some parents, maybe they don't deal that way. You have to come to the temple right now with me. So everybody has a different parenting style. We can't judge because we can't judge that a devotee once a devotee is always a devotee would definitely want his children also to become a devotee. Probably he just had a different way of dealing with it, and we can't judge by that.
Just a note, because the question particularly said that they just allow the child to be, what should I say, non-Krishna conscious or whatever. Well, we should start early. Parents should start early. But Mataji has given very relevant points as to how it should be done in a very, not in a way to just stuff things on the child, and give what the child can take. But the training should start early. Tamil வந்து ஒரு proverb இருக்கு, ஐந்தில் விளையாதது ஐந்திலே விளையாது. So 5 வயசுல இருந்தே பழக்கிறது தான் நல்லது. So you must train, but give them in small doses. Exactly. So so that is important, and most important is how the parents are practicing Krishna consciousness. That is, see, when things are okay in the house, you have a regular program in the house, morning program, you are eating only prasadam, both parents are reading regularly, they are knowledgeable, and things like that, the child automatically gets. Even if they may seemingly be quiet, when we are reading at night, you think they are sleeping. But next day they'll tell you the story. So this, but you don't say, get up, I'm reading, now you listen to me, no need, You just keep reading, and then you just keep singing the songs every time, evening, morning song, evening song. Automatically they will get the songs. They'll know better than you, they will know the songs. Children are very sharp and intelligent. So this is also very important. Okay?
So there's another comment, if you can. As our translator needs to hear properly, so please put the mic nearer to your mouth, because they can't hear clearly.
ஹரே கிருஷ்ணா, பின்னாடி இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் நல்லா கேட்குதுங்களா? கேட்குதுங்களா இல்லையா? கேட்குது.
Hare Krishna. Okay, one minute. So next question is actually a perspective or probably realization, I'm not sure. So let's see. Hare Krishna, what are Mataji's individual comments on this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9? The translation is, because women are easily seduced, the Manu Samhita enjoins that they should not be given freedom. A woman must always be protected either by her father, by her husband, or by her elderly son. Comment on that.
Tough one for us ladies in this day and age, isn't it? But I think it was you, Vaishnavi, that said that women are like a gem, and they need to be protected because they're valuable. And we're naturally, I think most women are naturally quite soft-hearted, quite trusting. If we're brought up, with a lot of love, then we're quite trusting and soft-hearted and compassionate. You gave the example about compassionate women, and I thought of like Devaki, Kamsa, her brother, had killed all her children, but he asked for forgiveness and she forgave him. So I think we have got soft hearts, we have got caring hearts generally. So therefore we need to be protected in that way. Of course, it's difficult for us Kali Yuga ladies to accept that, because as soon as we hear that we shouldn't be given any freedom, why not? I work, I earn my living, I go out and do this, I drive my car, I hold a good position at work where I'm overseeing lots of things. So it's not saying that women are not capable, but I think in the Vedic tradition women would be overseeing the household, they would be managing that, and they would be managing their families very nicely. and taking care of the husband very nicely, taking care of the children, and that's such a valuable role for a woman, because if the woman brings up the children very nicely, we don't have that opportunity at the moment because we're forced to work, because we have to earn a living to keep the house together, to keep the car together, to keep the lifestyle together. So we're forced into it. So it's a very unusual situation now. It's not like it was in the days when the Bhagavatam was written. Women were protected, they were looked after. So it's not saying that women are lesser, they just got very different qualities to men. And a woman should be looked after, it says, by the father, then by the husband, and then by the eldest son or the children, the son, you know. So protected means that they don't have to actually go out to work. They can be very peaceful, they can do their bhajan, they can do their devotion, they can look after everyone. Because we naturally, just like you talked about multitasking earlier, we naturally have that ability. We want to help everybody. I think a lot of us feel like we want to do what we can to help. So, to protect us, okay, I think that's what I have to say on that point. Hare Krishna.
So regarding the freedom, okay, you see, we have this women's emancipation, very famous, especially it was in the 90s. Where women's emancipation meant that they can do whatever they want. They can have free sex. They can just go with men. That was the era of the hippies, I think, at that time. So that kind of freedom is not recommended at all, because it is going to spoil your basic character. But what is real freedom is the freedom to practice Krishna consciousness. So that is our real freedom here, So we have to understand that what women's freedom means, So in the mundane sense, I always say, many people come up to me and ask me, because I'm a doctor and a devotee, So they ask me, how do you balance your material and spiritual life? I said, for a devotee, there is no two lives. There is only spiritual life. If you're first a devotee, it's only spiritual life. If I'm first a doctor, it's only material life. Okay? So when I'm first a devotee, for me, my profession is also spiritualized, because I'm using the fruits of my labor in the service of Krishna, be it at home, be it raising Krishna conscious children, be it for the temple. So we are doing that. So we are using our income or whatever it is. So you don't. This is very important to understand. So for a devotee, everything is spiritual. It should be. Of course, to come to understand this, it takes time. We always separate our material life. Many people hate their jobs because they think it's material. They hate it. And because of that, they're suffering. So it's important for you to have the correct understanding about your life first. So in this way, you should understand what is your real freedom. So when you know that your life is spiritual, the real freedom is to practice spirituality without hindrance. So as long as we can do that, we are actually having the freedom. We are having freedom. So because the question asked here was, we are not given freedom. So this is important to understand what is freedom and what is not freedom. You should understand that. I just wanted to make that point.
Hare Krishna. So actually, I don't know the exact year, but it was maybe the late 1800s. Hare Krishna. Maybe the late 1800s or the early 1900s, I don't know. But when they introduced this cigarettes, smoking, and there were only men who were smoking, and they wanted to increase their business. So they wanted even the women to smoke so that they can make more money. So then they got all the actresses, to smoke. And instead of like, they know smoking is injurious to health. So they put the advertisement as, we also want our freedom. And then the lady smokes, So now they just put that word freedom associated with smoking. And then the women got instigated, yeah, even I can smoke, why not, Even I can. So basically it's a business strategy to just get more, it's consumer, you just want to get more consumers, you want to get more clients for you. So that's why they, use this word freedom, do whatever you want to, drink, smoke, so that, I remember I was last year in July, I was in Germany. And there was this one Mataji, she gave up the job. And she's not like, even though I gave up the job, I keep getting a call from the government side saying that, why aren't you doing job? Shall we help you get a job? And I'm telling them that no, and they're like, why? You're qualified, and so they just want to increase their GDP or, and she was saying, why should I do the job? My husband is earning enough, and I think I want to continue my Krishna consciousness. But they were regularly calling her, and then she said, please don't call me again, I don't want to do job. So I don't know, somehow, but the women are made to feel that they are, greater or equal to men only if they do what the men are doing. Somehow, we have this dual policy. If a woman dresses like men, she's appreciated. If a man dresses like women, they will be criticized. And he will be like, why is he talking like a woman? Why is he crying like a woman? But if a woman behaves like man, it's like, wow, look at her, she's behaving like a man. I don't know why. Why can't we just be proud of what we are? Women means, yes, they talk like this. Women means, yes, they are shy. Women means, yes, they are more humble, they're more sweeter. So we can be proud. But we are made to feel inferior. So this is all propaganda and advertisement just to get more money out of it. So, and she said personal comment, I think if you're getting some free bodyguards without any payment, take it. Take it. There's somebody with you. Always take care and make sure you are protected. It's a wonderful deal. It's free of charge. You're not even paying for it. So go ahead and enjoy. Who will be that stupid to say no to that?
Okay, so thank you, Mataji. We have a last question. Something that I can relate also. This question says that so many Vaishnavis can't easily find a suitable partner. And the actual situation, many Vaishnavis have so many service duty in their shoulder and they need to communicate with different people. So how does a single Vaishnavi protect herself in a single phase? Okay, many Vaishnavis can't easily find a partner. So many Vaishnavis, they have many service duty in their shoulder and they need to communicate with different people. So how can these Vaishnavis protect herself when she's single?
Hare Krishna. What I understand your question is that there are many Vaishnavis who didn't find partners. They can't find partners and they're doing so many services.
Yes, and when they are doing the service, they are unable to protect themselves. How? Because they communicate with different people. So during those communication, how do they protect themselves when they're still being single?
Still being single, how they protect it. So as we already discussed about this, by maintaining healthy boundaries with the opposite sex and being careful, how you are dealing and sticking to what you're doing, like Mataji also said, what needs to be said needs to be done, but nothing over and above that, and be very careful. And somewhere I feel that, sometimes Matajis are also becoming very over-selective about partners, They're expecting a lot and they're not ready to compromise, There's one young girl in Visakhapatnam, she came to me and she said, I want a husband who should be a devotee, who should be handsome, who should be rich, who should be young, who should be good looking, who should have humble nature. And she went on and on. I said, well, you put your petition, I will forward it to Brahma. Because I think he has to create one for you. I don't think in available choices this is available. Probably he has to customize and make one for you. So I don't know why, but we Matajis have this exaggerated imaginations. He should be like this, he should be like that, he should be like this. No, nobody can be sarva guna sampanna. Maybe he may have some good qualities and he may not have something. So when one just has to compromise, with whatever is possible. At least one should make sure they have somebody who will support them in Krishna consciousness, but you can't tick all the check boxes. It's not possible. This is Kali Yuga. And sometimes we want the check boxes to be ticked for the others. What about us? When I do these grihastha sessions for couples, I sometimes I make them do this exercise. I tell them, write down all the qualities that you want in your wife. And I tell the husbands, write down all the qualities that what you in your wife, and wife should write down what she wants in her husband. And I tell you, this exercise is for 2 minutes. But when I say 2 minutes are over, they say, Mataji, one moment, because they want so many things to write. Because they remember everything. In the 80s, my husband said like that, 75, 90, he did like that. So they write down everything, said, this is the time, I'll take it out now. I want my husband should be sweet talker, I want he should be this, I should be, everything they write down. Then I said, okay, now is it done? Yes, Mataji, I'm ready with the list. Now I say, look at the list and see how many of those qualities you have in yourself. Then they think, why did I write such a big list? So we have so many expectations that others should be like this, should be like that, but what about ourselves? Do we have those qualities? Right? So we can't have that Sarvaguna Sampanna husband. We should go ahead and just compromise with whatever is available as of now in Brahma's creation and get ourselves a nice man, a devotee to protect us and continue our Krishna consciousness. Because I was just thinking with the earlier question that there is a Bhagavatam class after the Bhagavatam class. There is something we hear in Bhagavatam. But the real life begins after the Bhagavatam class, right? And whatever we have learned in Bhagavatam, when we get married, we have somebody to practically apply those. Otherwise, it will simply remain theory. Because as long as we are dealing with the devotees in the community, they'll always be nice to us. And we keep doing Vanchakalpa and all that, But when you actually have a husband or a wife at home, 24/7, it's like a practical lab. Just like in the school, We used to learn something about the hydrogen and the nitrogen and all, but when we used to do in the lab, we used to actually see it, how things work. Similarly, when we practically have, husband at home, and day to day, you have to deal with him, use the same bathroom, his wet towels on the floor and socks and all that, and still be conscious that I'm soul and connected to Krishna, and that is something. Okay.
So Hare Krishna, that was last question answered. We have more questions. Sorry, we can't accommodate them now. So we have with us His Grace Simeshwar Prabhu, who is the co-regional secretary of ISKCON Malaysia. We welcome you, Prabhu, to this Vaishnavi Retreat 2025. And 3 Haribols to Prabhu. Haribol, Haribol. So Prabhu will give a short address now to the Matajis gathered here.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Islavini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada, Sri Gaur Nitai Gaurangarai, Sri Radha Krishna Kanya, Sri Jagannath Swami Baladev Subhadra Devi, to all the assembled Vaishnavis, respectful obeisance, humble obeisance to you, all glories to you, especially to Mother Janaki Mataji, who was here since the 80s, early 80s, nurturing all of us. Can you hear me from behind? Those in front? Can hear. So, we have Mother Janaki Mataji was here since the early 80s, I think maybe even late 70s, and nurturing many of us when we joined as brahmacharis in the early days, and so we receive a lot of strength and inspiration, and still After all that years, now you can see Mataji is still the same, you know, and she has done a travel of Malaysia within a short while. And then, thank you Mataji, thank you Nitai Sevani Mataji for being here. Also though I have not much known her, but I have known her husband, Samba Prabhu, when we were stuck in Delhi in about 1980s, late 80s, not knowing where to go. That time, V.A.N.I.T.A Kailash was the temple sort of packed. So I thought what to do. Then somehow I think I had his address for contact. And he said, come over. So we went to Punjabi Bagh and we had very nice programs for a week. I can't forget that. And we have other Matajis. Sorry, I'm...
Jagatarini Mataji. Jagatarini Mataji.
Jagatarini Mataji. Oh yeah, Jagatarini Mataji. I went to Perth some time ago and I heard about your beautiful miniature dioramas, but I didn't get to see. I was very much wanting to see. Maybe the next time I go, I'll surely make it, you know. And Shanti Rupa Mataji, a very senior member is from Malaysia, who is carrying on, inspiring the devotees, and all the others. Sorry if I didn't forget anyone. And all the others, all of you together, the mothers make a very important role in the Hare Krishna movement. I remember Leela Mataji, that when I was the temple president in Kuala Lumpur in the 87 onwards, that if I want to get something done, I wouldn't have the courage to go to the government department or to go to some places. So I call Mataji. She's very courageous, very daring, very bold. She will just go in. And then I would talk to her. She'd say, okay, Prabhu, let's go. And then she will just walk into this department, take over, and get things done. Very powerful. And that's Leela Mataji. Like that, we had many instances where a lot of help in my days as temple president in Kuala Lumpur and even as General Secretary traveling around the countries. So many Matajis from north to south, Palaka Krishna Prabhu's wife, she would entertain, host so many devotees, sannyasis coming to to Alusta, such a small place. But when there's festival, there will be so many sannyasis and they have to take care of all of us, our prasad, our staying. And so they did so much for the society that we should remember and glorify these devotees who are all around the country. They have been helping their husbands to propagate Krishna consciousness, to propagate Krishna consciousness. They did a lot of austerities. We talk about austerities. V.A.N.I.T.A is a very personality who is so powerful in his austerities. One time he was, doing his tapasya under a tree, and then while he was doing tapasya under the tree, a bird passed stool on his head. And V.A.N.I.T.A is a very kind of personality. So he looked up and he just stared at the bird, and the next thing fell down as ashes. So then after his tapasya, he had went begging to bhikshu, and he went to a house, and as he was begging, he's waiting out there for quite a while, and nobody came out. So this is Mataji. She was inside serving her husband. Husband had just taken chapati, but the dal had finished. So she had to refill the dal. And that took some time, and then she came out, and V.A.N.I.T.A was very angry. So he stared at her. Then she told him, this won't work. I know where you came from, I know who you stared at, and it won't work with me. And he was shocked. V.A.N.I.T.A was so shocked. He's such a tapasya, he's such a powerful personality. And his mother, he couldn't put her to ashes. So then, the story goes, he goes then to another place. She says, where do you get this strength? And he said, you just go to another place and you'll find out. So the story goes like that. Similarly, Shankaracharya, Shankaracharya was very indebted to his mother because at a very young age he became sannyasi. Very young age. And then, so the blessings was, the mother can call him anytime. At the time of death, she can call him. So the time came, she called him. Then from wherever he was, he came. And then this mother was speaking to him. And then he was glorifying his mother. He said, for so long you took care of me and the pains that you went through, but I'm so ungrateful to you. Then he described about the qualities of mother. Like that, many instances about mothers, how they think and emotionally and how they think for the welfare of, mankind. Same with Rama's mother, Bharata's mother. How Rama's mother, when Rama was requested to go, and father was thinking, oh my God, this Rama is such a personality, how can I leave him? But the mother allowed. The mother was, allowed him to go. And then she said, my son should be a good son. And then we have Sumitra, her sons went, she said, my son and all other sons should be good. But we have Kaikeyi who said, only my son should be good. So like that we have, good mothers. So you see, Arjuna, the first thing that he noticed in Bhagavad Gita, as we read Gita, the first thing that he noticed that you have to protect the mothers. Is sort of debate with Krishna. He said, if I do this, then the mothers are not protected. And then you see his grandson, Parikshit. The first thing he noticed was mother again. This time, who is that? Mother cow. He said, if you do this mother cow, then we are all finished. So he was ready to kill Kalipurushan. The mother cow should be protected. So like that, the important aspects in the material nature, like mother cow, mother nature, mother earth, all these things are given respect to the mothers, and we depend on all this. It is very important for all of us to have mothers here so that the planet can go properly. Now there is so much of abuse of mothers in all these years of earth, of nature, of cow, and the real human mothers as well. So it is a duty of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to see that these things are put right. Otherwise, I fear that they stay at this, we will become potash for agriculture. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sumisha Prabhu. Sumisha Prabhu is our father who takes care of all the mother cows in Lanka. So he knows very well how to take care of mothers. And I would also like to highlight Prabhu's significant contribution to our temple. It's our 10th anniversary. So Prabhu actually is the main pillar that this temple is built. Without Prabhu, we will not be able to get this temple. So I'd like to thank Mr. Prabhu very much. Oh, and Prabhu's significant contribution to VR also. Prabhu actually gave us 1,000 ringgit to actually sponsor her Grace Janaki Mataji's tickets. And he also got other devotees to also sponsor Mataji's tickets. Personally, he has actually asked for this. And he please make sure we take care of Janaki Mataji very well. She's a very special VIP to Malaysia. So we have tried our best. We hope Janaki Mataji is pleased with our service. And now we would like to introduce her Grace Jagatarani Mataji's class. She will be giving class on Vrinda Devi and Vrindavan. So it will be until so from 7:30 to 8:30, Mataji's class will be there, and then we'll have a finale kirtan. We'll be doing a little, since many Matajis saw the lights just now and they saw it was very beautiful darshan, but unfortunately we were having the panel discussion that time. So we thought we'll have more lights for you to show, and Vishaka Mataji has agreed to sing the Damodar Sakam that time. So be very nice, will please stay
You know how sweet Vishaka Madhu's voice is. So we'll start with Jagatani Madhu's class. Yeah.